All right, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great day. Let's change our view so that Laura doesn't get, there we go, gallery view. All right. Good morning. Hope everybody's having a great day, great weekend so far. We got a few things that are going to cover. We have a guest coming in this morning, so our guest brought in some breakfast for us. So if you're not if you're not in the meeting room here, sorry you're missing out. So, but in the meantime, what I'll do is I'm going to get started until they get here. So we'll take a few minutes and kind of go over a few things. So we are going to have a food truck Friday. I got to start, so give me a second. So we are going to have a food truck Friday coming up. So this is something that we're going to try and start doing regularly. The first Friday of every month is what we're going to attempt to do. This is going to be the first meeting that we have. It's going to be paired with the bank downstairs. We're basically bringing out 2 food trucks, and we're going to try to continue to bring out more after that. And what we want to do is just try and become more relevant in the community, bring some more eyes onto the brokerage, give people something to do. With a food truck, it's outside too, so it's not like you have the same confinements of being inside of a restaurant, trying to just kind of open that up a little bit. And again, we have flyers. The flyer did get sent out to you this morning. What we're asking you to do is, in the midst of all of your farming and communication and social media posting, put this on your social media, invite all of your friends and people out here so we can have a decent lunch event on this Friday. And again, we're going to try and do this every first Friday of the month. So our first Friday will be March 5th, and it'll be from 11 until 2. All right. Taco. Yeah, this is going to be Lego My Egg Roll and barbecue time food trucks the first time around, and we're going to try to get a good rotation of people through that. So there's that. I wanted to bring everybody's attention. Everybody knows about the relentless agent stories that are going around Century 21, correct? Is everybody aware of those? So Century 21 has something called, their whole motto for this year is relentless, be relentless, give 121%. And to spotlight that, they're asking all of our agents to submit relentless stories. So Joe Aletto was one of our relentless agents last year. His story got picked. And now this year, Jackie Stone has submitted one of her stories. And she submitted a couple of her stories because this girl's got some stories, let me tell you. If you want to have an experience, have you ever been home shopping with a chimpanzee? No BS. A famous chimpanzee bought a home, and Jackie was the agent. I'm not kidding. He was an actor. Yes. So there's one. She submitted a story. This is the chimpanzee's money, but it was a story that she submitted. And what they did is they took her into a media center and had her shoot videos and tell that story. And that's going to be one of their spotlights that they put out. One of their spotlight relentless agents. So one of our relentless agents, Jackie. Now the other one, which is even. Yeah. Now, I know some of us have buyers that act like crazy monkeys and chimpanzees, but this actually was a chimpanzee that actually bought a home. It was his money. Pretty crazy. We'll send a link out. I'll send a link out to everybody that we could check it out. You saw some of the clauses that Craig was talking about in the meeting about appraisals. Right now, if your buyer wants a home and it's in a very, very hot price point, or it's a pool home, there's a very good possibility they're going to have to pay over appraised value or waive their appraisal protections. So the verbiage that he put in there is, buyer's willing to pay X amount of dollars over the appraised value. Another one that might be beneficial is waiving the appraisal contingency. This contract is not contingent upon any appraisal. Buyer will pay the appraised value buyer will pay contract price regardless of the outcome of the appraisal. There are certain things, if you need help with any of those, making sure that the verbiage is correct, or you're getting the point across the way you wanted to, please let me know. We can always help you out. We're going to be putting them into dot loop under the clauses button, so that way we can have it. Real quickly on that, we do understand that appraisals, the contract has appraisal protection already built into it for specific buyers. You don't need an appraisal contingency per se all the time. So just be very clear, it's not an appraisal contingency built into the contract for every appraisal. It specifically states that regardless of loan approval date, it says that if the appraisal obtained by the buyer's lender does not meet the terms of the loan approval, then the buyer can cancel and get their money back. Notice it doesn't say the property did not appraise. It says if the appraisal obtained by the buyer's lender does not meet the terms of the loan approval. Most of the time, if the property doesn't appraise, your buyer's appraisal won't meet the terms of the loan approval. Because even when an appraiser is giving out a pre-approvals, most of the time they're putting in there satisfactory appraisal at the contract price. So most of the time they will deny it either way. But in specific instances, if somebody wanted to fight, if a borrower is putting 50% down, 60% down, a large chunk of money, they may still be approved to buy the loan at the terms that the appraisal came in at and have to pay that difference. So they may have to pay the difference towards the seller, not towards their principal, and come to the table with a few extra $1,000. That is possible. It's just not very likely. So just remember that right now. It's important while you're writing offers. If you do not need to put an appraisal contingency in to call that attention to it, you have appraisal protection in the contract if you're putting 20% or less down. My stance and my position on this is twofold. Number one, it calls out the appraisal date if you add an appraisal contingency, which could be good or bad for your buyer. If you don't meet the date of the appraisal deadline, your buyer's going to be damaged. But it also may tell the seller, hey, look, we already know there's appraisal protection in there, but we'll make sure it's done by this date within the first 10 days, 14 days, so we'll know right away. So it can go one way or the other. Just make sure what you're doing is communicating. Communication is key. Call the listing agent. Talk to them about your buyer's offer. Talk to them about what the intent behind what you're doing is, because we've all dealt with the not so diligent agent who just kind of grabs an offer and goes, oh, yeah, sorry, we already took another offer. And like, it just went on the market. You didn't tell us their highest and best. You didn't tell us anything. We've all dealt with that. So the best thing you can do is pick up the phone and communicate. Let them know, I'm going to be sending you an offer. I'll spell it out in the email as well, but I want to make sure that you understand we're putting an escalation clause in there. We are waiving our appraisals, or we're putting an appraisal contingency only because we want it done by this date. Please note the price on the appraisal contingency. I'm putting in that the appraisal only has to come in at X amount of dollars. We're willing to accept it even if it comes in $20,000 less. So even if you put a price in, like it's contingent on it appraising for X price, if you know your contract price is high, you can put a lower price on there stating that my buyer will pay this amount more. It only has to appraise for this amount. If it appraises for that amount, we're good to go. So just make sure that you're communicating and you're using the proper tools to convey that over. I'll use this as a good break time, and then we could bring in our guests. So you got a mic, right? So please say, welcome, Banco ZK.
You have to keep it.
I would like you to also make sure that we say, give them a warm thank you for the breakfast that they provided. That microphone is very touchy. You do have to keep it pretty close to your mouth, and it's directional. So just point it straight at your mouth and talk. Go ahead.
Hi. Before I get started,
It's got to be really, you got to keep it close. There
I just wanted to thank Beggins for giving us this time to speak to everyone.
It's got to stay up here the whole time.
About the benefits of
Thank
banking with Bank OZK. I might be a familiar face to some of you guys, but for those who don't know me, my name is Christine Chan. I'm a banking relationship specialist at Bank OZK. So not only are we conveniently located right next door, but we also offer free to low-cost personal and business accounts. We offer a small business checking that requires only $100 opening deposit, but no minimum balance to maintain. We also offer treasury management services for those that are in need. We offer free personal checking accounts, and we also offer different savings accounts such as savings, money market, CDs, whichever is best suited for your lifestyle. You're probably wondering why Banco ZK out of all the other banks that are out there. For one, we offer exceptional customer service. We treat everyone that walks through that door like family. Yes, we definitely are family. Besides providing exceptional service, most of you might know my team next door. We have Margaret, Drew, and Norma. Yes, best boss ever. I'm sorry.
So if you can't tell, Christina's she's not used to speaking in front of people.
I'm actually not. I'm a little nervous.
Well,
Sorry.
let me ask you, just ask a simple question. What are some of the things when you're opening a business account? If you all don't already have a business account, you should open a business account. If you don't have an LLC or a PLLC or an incorporation, talk to your tax accountant about that. But when you're looking at opening a business account, what are some of the things that somebody should look for, or some of the benefits of opening an account with you as opposed to someone else, or what can they get from some of the services that you have?
A lot of banks do not offer free business accounts. We do. With like earlier, we offer a small business account. You get 250 combined items per statement cycle. It comes with online banking, debit cards, and like I stated earlier, you have no minimum balance, so you don't get fees for reaching a low balance. So that is something we offer.
That's important. A lot of banks charge minimum balance fees. You go below a certain amount, like $2,500, $5,000 sometimes, like they'll start charging you. It's like, hey, you don't have enough money in there, but let me take some more out of it.
Exactly.
What the hell? So just keep those things in mind. Also, we do all of our banking through Banco ZK, correct? So all of your paychecks and pay stubs and everything are coming through Banco ZK for your commissions, which just makes that much easier for you to grab your check, run right over there. They honor those checks and they can help you out with any of your accounts. Sorry.
If you do proceed with the relationship, I will be your personal banker. I will make sure all of your banking needs, questions, or concerns are taken care of. I know with being a realtor, you're constantly on the go. How great would it be if you needed to send a wire, do an internal transfer between your accounts? You can just give me a call and I'll make sure you're taken care of. I'm even able to recognize a lot of my customers just by voice, just by calling me. So
that's exceptional customer service. Yeah, ask away.
yes.
I'm going to repeat it for everybody online. So we're an agent saying we've got multiple accounts with a different bank. Is there any benefit to transitioning to you? Any benefits they can have for having multiple accounts with Banco ZK if they decided to transition everything over?
Yes. So like you said, if you have multiple accounts with your kids' accounts, let's say you need to have access to them, you're able to have access from them from your online banking. We also offer different services. Let's say your kids' account. So we offer something called My Change Keeper. So anytime you swipe your debit card, you could have a savings account for your kid. Every time you swipe your debit card, it would round it up to the nearest dollar and actually put those funds into the savings account. That way you're actually saving without realizing you're saving.
Okay. Do you offer, does Banco ZK have a mobile check depositing like on their app or anything like that?
Yes, we do. You're able to do mobile deposits. Like he said, Century 21 does bank with us. So let's say you wanted to bring your check right next door or do a mobile deposit, that is available immediately for you to use.
What about limits for the accounts? Is there any limits to the transactions or like daily transaction amounts, deposits, or anything?
There are limits, but depending on your deposit behavior, we can always get those raised for you. Whatever fits your deposit history, whatever would fit your accounts.
So, and that's good to have a person that you can communicate that with. So what you run into with some of the is like the Wells Fargo's, I don't mean to say bad names in this room. So, but if you run into, they'll have limitations on your deposits, and you can work with someone. But to have a dedicated account specialist that's going to help you out and say, hey, I noticed you just put $15,000 in deposits in one day, and your limit is right there. Why don't we raise that for you because you're doing more business and give you a better benefit, easier benefit. You can do all of it mobily, not have to come in, waste your time doing that. Even though we love seeing your pretty face, you don't have to step into the office. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
Besides that, I make sure all of my clients, I take very good care of them. Most of you already know that. But other than that, is there any other questions that anybody has? We do have Starbucks coffee.
So Brian's mentioning having the multiple accounts, having a checking account and being able to deposit that and set it up so that you have a portion of your deposit going into your savings directly for taxes. That way it's never even sitting there hitting the account. Just having that benefit of them right next door working with the company is a huge deal for him. And plus they've got great coffee in case you didn't hear that. Yeah. What about business credit cards? Do you have those available to if someone opens a business checking account and savings account?
We do offer business credit cards. You actually would apply online, and we do have brochures for that as well. We do have credit cards depending on your spending.
Up to $50,000 business line of credit, basically with no financials. So just the fact that you have a business and you open a checking and savings account with them, you have the availability to have access to up to $50,000 in available credit line through Banco ZK using them. That's an excellent feature, especially if you're actively in business and you're looking to take your business to the next level and wanted to leverage something rather than your own funds. If you know you're going to pay it and you can use the credit, I'm sure they have points, benefits, and everything as well. So using that hand in hand, having a direct link to your checking account, that way you can literally just click pay bill and it just transfers right over instead of having to deal with online services. It's an excellent opportunity. Good. Drew, did you have anything you wanted to add as well since you're here? Grab the mic too, please, just so everybody online can hear. Appreciate it.
So good morning, everyone. The biggest thing of banking with
hold
the
that close.
convenience factor of it.
Yep.
A lot of times as agents, you guys are always on the go. And I run the East Hillsborough division, and I'm always on the go. So it's very convenient when I can just call the office and things get done. You don't have to tell your story again. You don't have to explain your problems. Just say,
Yep.
Christine, I need this to get done. Can you take care of it for me? And it gets done.
Yep.
Wires, especially. You can do a wire over the phone. You can do a wire via email. It's super, super convenient. And we are a very low cost, no cost bank. And we really pride ourselves in the relationship piece of things. For example, Diego's here today. So Diego's father and I are good friends. We met through networking from the bank, and he wanted to make a connection where Diego wanted to learn more about being a realtor. So I emailed Joy. Joy got in touch with Chris, and it's here. So we're all about connecting. I've had the privilege of doing some lending for some of you for vacant land, a couple of construction to perm loans and so on. So we appreciate the business. But the biggest thing I can stress is just the relationship piece of it. We would love to start a relationship with you. Thanks.
Excellent. Christine, you want to add anything else?
Any other questions?
Question online: are you local only, or Banco ZK is a Canadian company, isn't it?
No.
Arkansas.
Yes, we're based out of Arkansas.
Okay. Anybody else? Wonderful. So stop downstairs, talk to Christine about your banking capabilities with Banco ZK if you're looking to make a change or open a business account. And like you said, she gives an exceptional service. We've got some agents who have already used them and speak very highly of them. So thank you very much.
I appreciate that. I'm going to leave some of my business cards here and brochures. If you have any questions, like you said, just stop downstairs. I'm there all day. And thank you for allowing us to take this time to speak to everyone. I hope everyone enjoys their breakfast.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Perfect. And if you have any updates or anything like quarterly updates of something that you guys are offering or wanted to send out, feel free to send it to myself or Joy. We'll send it out to the team, just because we're having the relationship there, just trying to continue to build that would be great. Good. Good. Yeah, absolutely. Good. Yes, sir. Yeah. So Brian's mentioning that the Banco ZK is a pleasure to do business with, and there's actually a personality behind it. It's not just a big name bank where you walk in and just feel like everybody's just there typing numbers, pushing buttons and stuff. There's actually a person behind it, and that means a lot to a lot of us, especially in this business. We're in the people and communications business, as we mentioned. Good, awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, let's see. I want to go through a couple things. issues that we dealt with so we can make sure everybody's apprised as to what's going on. Oh, and she ran out of the room. We have an issue for her, and she ran out. So, so the things that you're going to run into right now, sellers hold the gold, right? The sellers hold the gold. We have a very limited depressed inventory market. The sellers hold the gold. Even though you have a contractual obligation, sometimes sellers are not abiding by them. And they're saying, too bad, so sad, take it and shove it, cancel the contract or move on. I'm not doing it. What recently, we had a home was bought, the washer and dryer was included, that went for a walkthrough, washer and dryer are not there. There's actually a shittier washer and dryer there. So he intentionally removed the ones that were there and then replaced them with something worse. And then when we asked him about it, the direct response is they were stolen. So don't worry, the serial numbers said that they were 12 to 14 years old. The washer's reasonable life expectancy is 10 years, meaning that they're beyond the reasonable life expectancy. I'll give you a $200 credit. Somebody had the wherewithal to think the whole thing through, didn't call and say that the washer and dryer was stolen. What can we do? Can we help you out? Let me give you a credit. How do we fix this? Does your buyer want this? Does your buyer want that? Yada, yada, yada. Went through the whole process of problem of thinking it through and finding a way to create the illusion that the washer and dryer are worthless, and then made sure that they said that, oh, it was stolen. Oh, there she is, little Miss Problem Child herself. But this is our buyer buying the property and going through it. So the seller basically took the stance. I already reduced because of the appraisal. That's part of your problem. I don't care what the contract says. Deal with it. That's what we're willing to do. How do you force someone to abide by the terms of a contract? How do you force them to? Jimmy, get up here. How do you force them to?
You're not going to.
You grab them by their throat and you threaten them with life and no, you can't. The only person that enforces contracts are judges. So the only way we can make them do what that is to basically sue for some type of specific performance. That's the only way we can really do something there. We're going to end in 10 minutes. It's going to cut me off again. But so that's the only way you can do that. So what are the repercussions and what are the issues? What can you do? You either, your broker and leader showed up with pants, everybody. He's got pants on. So what do you do? What can you do? Number one, you want to talk to the buyer. This is about communication. So when you have that issue where this is the buyer who has to make the decision, not us. Before we get all on our high horse and start calling the listing agent and the seller out and telling them how much of a piece of garbage they are and how much they suck and I can't believe you do this. The contract says this and you need to do that. We are cooperating agents. So let's communicate and figure out, number one, what does the buyer want? Is the buyer willing to just accept it as it is and take the $200 credit and the new shitty washer and dryer that's in there? Is he willing to do that? Because if he is, that's fine. Let's move forward to closing. If the buyer wants to make a bigger deal out of it, make sure they understand what the repercussions are, and then we cooperate with the other side, have communication, and try and figure out how did we get here and how can we get past that. So these are issues that you're running into. But remember, seller holds the gold. The sellers are now pretty much digging their heels in a lot of places and saying, no, I'm not going to do it. Too bad, so sad. Cancel the contract. Don't close. I don't care. I'll go do this instead. And that is happening. So keep those things in mind. We're still ongoing. This is recent. There's no answer right now. We're in the midst of this, and she gets up and walks out of the room in the middle of all of this. Thanks. So Craig mentioned this morning home partners. I'm not sure how much time we're going to have, but home partners is a good opportunity. 8 minutes. Home partners is a good opportunity for your buyer to hedge against inflation. Think about this. Home partners is a cash buyer. How many people have FHA buyers in their pocket right now? How many of your FHA VA buyers need closing cost assistance? Probably most of them. Right now, they're not getting an offer accepted if they need closing costs. It's not going to happen. You hear the stories of what's going on, $10,000, $25,000, paying over appraised value, which means they need more cash. What you can do is use Home Partners as a tool. If Home Partners buys in that area, Home Partners is a cash buyer who will pay cash for a property today. Does a cash buyer stand out against most other buyers? You have a better opportunity of having your offer stand out. We've also seen it where we just did one where they were going to make an offer and they were offering $3,000 over the list price. Okay, so they were offering more than what the property was selling for. they ended up not using Home Partners, but it ended up not appraising later through a loan. Well, Home Partners was going to pay $3,000 more than the list price was. The buyer was going to get the contract. How fast are homes appreciating in our market, in our area right now? How fast? What kind of percentage would you say? 7.5? 2 weeks ago, 289 appraised at 301. That's a 3.5% increase pretty quickly. Within 2 weeks, we had a home over in Symphony Isles a little more than a year ago, listed at 949, didn't sell. Came back on January 1st, listed for 1.245, sold in 2 weeks, 30% increase in a year. We've had another home. I just bought my home and I went and did the pricing analysis on it. From 395, I would list it for 450, and I could probably more than likely get it to appraise for 440 or 445. That's a 10 to 15% increase. How much does a buyer pay more for a Home Partners deal a year from now? Basically 3.75%. If homes are appreciating at 10%, and they could buy a home at 3.75% increase next year, guaranteed for Home Partner, guaranteed. They can do that. They're going to have 6% equity if they're in the right kind of market, right? 1 second. So, and then if it doesn't, and the world falls apart, and everything goes completely downhill, the markets crash, everything just goes to hell in a handbasket, they can walk away. It's just a lease with the right to purchase. There's no guarantee that they have to do it. Something to consider in some of the areas that Home Partners is buying in. So we got 5 minutes left. Yes, Kim, what did you want to say? Dealt with Home Partners on the selling side, and they were excellent. I've dealt with them multiple times on the selling side, and they've been excellent. They are not as bad as what most people have said with some of the investors, where they're coming to beat you up on price. I've had multiple times they've done nothing as far as inspections, wanted anything. They'll buy the home. Okay, so there's a lot of benefits to using them, and you get your buyer a home, and they have the option if they want to move into the home in a year or not. This is their forever home. They're able to get some equity into it. Does anybody see our market really shifting drastically, barring any kind of crazy circumstance out there? Probably not. We don't really see that as a possibility right now, barring anything crazy out there. Worst case scenario, people think it might just plateau, but we are looking at new norms for where our pricing is, new baselines for where our pricing is. So they're in a good position, and you can help them get there. Jimmy has it. Every single publication out there rates Tampa in the top 10 for investing, for owning, for home ownership, for equity purposes.
Our CFO has
Gotta go closer.
Our CFO is a client in New York City. He had a $27 million condo in New York City. He dumped it for $19 million. He moved to St. Pete and he bought a $4 million condo on the Gulf. What does he have in his pocket? 15 million bucks.
A lot of cheeseburgers.
Right? And everybody's leaving New York. You're going to see a flux of things happen here that are just going to be incredible.
Yes.
Dumping it, 27 million and 19 million, coming here buying a nicer condo on the Gulf of Mexico and has 15 million bucks in his cash to play around with.
Yep.
Poor guy. He's going to take that loss on his income tax, which is going to save him who knows how much.
What's his name? I want to give him a call. I got a lot of property he can buy with that 15 million.
No, you don't.
But talking about that also, you heard us talk about in the meeting, being coachable and having blind faith. Sometimes we have to have blind faith in our actions. I've told this story to our farming group over and over, and I'll mention it again. So there's a brand new agent who started with another brokerage. There's a video of him, and he's talking about what he did when he got started. Brand new, no experience, was barely in sales. For the first 30 days, he called 5 days a week, 200 people a day. 200 people a day for 30 days. Talk about blind faith. Guess how many deals he got after 30 days? 0. Nothing after 30 days, but had the wherewithal to keep going and keep pushing. And then from days 30 to 90, he ended up with 10 contracts. 10 listings or contracts on the books with a pipeline full of people. By the end of the year, he had over 85 or 90 transactions. So talk about blind faith, getting out and doing something for at least that 30 days. We start to see that 30 days is really the threshold that you'll see. We had another another one of our agents did the same thing, started talking to their sphere. After about 25 to 30 days, comes into my office and goes, well, I mean, are you sure this stuff works? I mean, I'm calling everybody. I'm posting everything. It's not happening. Walked away. An hour later, comes back staring at her phone, dumbfounded, going, so I just got a call. And I have no idea who it was, but she told me she wouldn't use anybody else to sell her home. My friend recommended me to her. Somebody I just talked to last week recommended me to her. I've never sold a home in my life, yet she recommended me as the only person she would use to buy or sell a home. And I got a call. She went and interviewed that person, put the listing on the market, sold it in 2 weeks. Went and knocked on doors all around that neighborhood and the next neighborhood over, got another listing that came on the market 3 months later. Called all around there, got a buyer, almost had another seller who ended up going with somebody else because she was 1 day late. Like he was already signing paperwork with somebody and was 1 day late. So we got 1 minute left. That's not enough time for you guys to pitch your listings, especially if we ask some of you to describe them. Mr. Ray Monahan.
No.
Ray's not doing a pitch. But Ray does have a brand new, beautiful waterfront listing in Symphony Isles. It's under $700,000, over 2,000 square foot, beautiful property. Went through all of the steps to make sure that it was prepared, pre-listing inspection. Wonderful property. Guess how many waterfront properties are available in Symphony Isles right now? How many? 2. Guess how many available in Mirror Bay right now? 0. Guess how many? There's nothing available on Mirror Bay right now. If one just came up, but yeah, Mans Harbor, less than 1 minute. So there's one this morning. There's 2 or 3 in Symphony Isles. There's probably in all of Apollo Beach another 4 or 5 that are actually available. There's not a lot. So Kim Hotchkins has some new stuff coming up that's going to be brand new. If you need it, if you're looking for waterfront, contact her. Ray Monahan has a brand new waterfront in Symphony Isles, and we've 843 Symphony Isles Boulevard. So we're less than a minute. It's going to cut me off. So in true